Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalam ala rasulillah, alayhi salatu wassalam. So let's start talking about unit 1 again. In the last video, we start talking about the states of matter. State of matter. And we say if we are talking about matter, so what is matter exactly? Anything occupies space. And has mass. So for example, if I'm talking about different feeling, if I hate something, this is not matter, right? If I am thinking about, we can't think about sunlight because it have little particles. If we are talking about I like something, any emotions, we can't consider it matter, right? But if we are talking about something solid like iron, or we are talking about water, or we are talking about hydrogen, all of this we are considered matter, right? If you wanted to break any matter down, if you take any matter and you started to break it down piece by piece, you break it, then break it, then break it, you have a smaller size piece, smaller, we will reach to something called particles. So any matter will consist of particles of same or different type, okay? So let's talk about particles at first. We are not talking about elements, we are not talking about compound, we are talking about particles. So any matter you see in front of you is formed of little particles. We can draw it as little circles like this, okay? But if we have a look at nature, we will find 3 different states of matter. Do we have more? Yes, we have more, but in your syllabus, we need to discuss 3 of them only. Number 1, we have solid state. Number 2, we have liquid state. Number 3, we have gas state. Okay, so let's discuss all of them. So what is the difference? This is a physical characteristic. This is how the matter is looked from outside. I'm not talking about chemical reaction. I'm talking about something called the physical state. And there is a big difference between physical state, and between chemical characteristics. So I want only to discuss their looking from outside, how they look like, and how they are different from one another. So if we are drawing here the solid, let's draw an arrow. I think it allows drawing arrows here. Okay, so I can draw like this, and I can draw another one. Okay, okay, so let's start. If we are talking about, so we will start to comparing between solid and liquid and gas. And I think this will be kind of easy. It's introduction for chemistry only. So most of this, I think you see this photo or this table in different semesters or different lectures. So it might be so easy for you, but hang with me. So the first thing we need to talk about is size. Will the size be fixed or changed? Think about piece of rock. Will the size change? So if you take this shape, this rock, and you take it, this is rock, okay? And you take it from a place to another. You take it from street and you put it in your table, on desk. Will it change? Will it change and take the shape of container? Of course not. So the solid usually have fixed size, right? And what about liquid? Does it have a fixed size? I don't think so, right? So if we are drawing, where to draw? So if we are drawing, for example, if you have the water like this in this container, right? So this is the shape of container. And then you take it to another beaker or another thing like this. You see, the shape will change according to the container. So the shape is not fixed. Yes, the amount of water will still the same, right? But the shape will not be different, right? So if we are talking about shape here, size or the shape here is fixed, size will be fixed, and here will be also fixed. What about gas? What about the size of gas? No, size of gas is different, right? Why? Because the gas will take the space that it will occupy in space. So for example, if the gas in a small perfume like this, this will be its size, right? But if you started to spray it, and we will talk about diffusion later, it will take the whole room, okay? So size of gas is not fixed. So the size is not fixed. Let's talk about, we talk about size. Let's talk about what? About mass. Will the mass be fixed in case of solid? Of course, yes. So what we mean by mass? Mass usually is the number of particles. How many particles do we have? I know it have a different definition, but to imagine it, it's number of particles. How many particles this solid has? This mass, does this mass will change from a place to another? Of course not, right? The mass of anything will be the same, whether the location of the thing. So in case of solid, the mass is the same, right? Fixed. What about the liquid? Liquid will be also fixed. What about the gas? Fixed. So we need to know the difference between size and mass. The size or the shape might vary, but the mass is always the same. Let's continue. If we wanted to draw the shape of particles arrangement, how it look like? So I wanted to try something. Let us draw a rectangle here, another rectangle here, and another rectangle here. Imagine the particles like small circles. If I wanted to draw these small circles, if you see under microscope, how the particles of the solid will look like? It will look like this. It will be arranged to each other. Okay, if I wanted to draw this one, I will draw the same thing in liquid. Not the same thing, I will leave a little spaces between particles. Not too big spaces, but I will leave little spaces. What about if I wanted to draw gas? And this is one of the questions that came usually in exam when you talk about the state of matter. Here, I ask you to draw the particles arrangement in case of solid and gas and liquid. If I wanted to draw it here, it will be like this. Let's make it so far from each other. So I think I better draw it like this. And we can say that the particles, if we are talking about particles arrangement, we will find this is closely attached, while the attachment here, while this one will be loosely attached because there is little gaps between them, right? While this one, we will find it is freely moved, right? So the particles movement is different from one to another. One is tightly or closely attached, and one is loosely, and one is freely movement. Every particle is separated from each other and they can move away from it. So part of this table we will continue inshallah next video. So this is the lecture for today. So if we are talking about the difference between solid, liquid, gas, we talk today about state of matter. We talk about the difference between solid, liquid, gas, regarding the size, regarding the mass, regarding particles, regarding movement. Yes, and we have to talk a little bit about this table next time, and we will talk about change of matter inshallah. See you inshallah next time. Assalamu alaikum.